coming up in today's episode of Circle Back.
Nothing says funny like your friend losing 32K, Kirk.
The anxiety of like, I'm just need a drink right now and someone might come yell at me for something I said 6 months ago. I know I'm like a delicate flower maybe, but that is causing me like anxiety thinking about.
It's funny how that works. Like sportsbooks are able to keep the lights on, but 95% of people are winning bettors.
People always say that, you know, we all get in line for Rob. Like we only listen to Rob.
Right.
We can't say what we want.
Right.
I think there's pretty good evidence that that's not true.
I think more people should call out scammers or grifters in this space.
Disclaimer: the content presented in this show is intended for entertainment purposes only. All opinions expressed are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of any individuals or organizations mentioned. Statements made about public figures or entities are based on publicly available information and are not intended to harm or defame any person or business. This show relies on fair use of social media posts, which are presented in good faith for the purpose of commentary and criticism. Viewers and listeners are advised to form their own opinions. Circle Back here on the Circles Off channel. It's part of the Hammerbag Network and presented by Kalshi. This is the show where we cover the latest and greatest stories from gambling Twitter. We are back in our normal production studio. Been a while since I've been here. Honestly, been a while since these guys have been here as well. A little bit of a hiatus. I was on my year-long trip around the world, according to Joey Kanish. As for Rob, he was away at Bet Bash, and there was a Canadian holiday. God forbid we take a Canadian holiday off. But we are here. We are back in the saddle with the regular Tuesday crew. First of all, CEO of the Hammerbag Network, Rob Pizzola, is here. In the middle, we have avid NBA bettor, seasoned NBA bettor, Kirk Evans. And then on the left, Geoff Fienberg. Honestly, I didn't prepare an intro today. I forgot to do one.
I like that. That's fine.
But Geoff is here today. I am Jacob. I am producer and your host on Circle Back. Let's just jump into it. How's everyone been? It's been quite a while. How's everyone doing? Any FOMO from Geoff or Kirk for missing out on Bet Bash this week?
Oh, I thought about just the last few weeks. No, there's nothing that I'm foaming at the mouth. I'll admit, there was like moments of FOMO, but it was also like offset of moments like, thank God I'm not there. And pictures speak like 1,000 words.
Yep.
So there were pictures where it was like, I would really enjoy that group in that moment at that scene. And then there are pictures like, I would want to be nowhere near that scene. So it's how I feel. But I think maybe next year.
I will say, like, a lot of people asked about you two guys. In particular, they thought Kirk was just dodging the conference because he's made so many enemies. So that was like a very common theme.
Kind of fair.
And I think people just generally want to meet you, Geoff, now that like,
I feel like meeting people with like soft, not that I'm trying to like protect the show.
Yeah.
But like if I meet you, we have a good time. I'll admit, like I'm probably not going to like, then we're buddies, not buddies, but it'd be harder to ever say anything mean about.
Well, we saw that with Rufus and Fezzik this week. That's a prime example, which I think we're going to get to in the show today. But it is very different in person. Like I had meetings, or not meetings, but like face-to-face interactions with Chad Millman. And I've been very critical of his co-host on his podcast, Simon Hunter. So we chatted through that. Didn't arrive at a resolution, but we chatted through that. Yanni the Greek got into my face. For those who were, we did a full episode, I think.
That's an OG enemy.
Don't talk about it, be about it. And he got in my face. He saw me and he came. He's like, "Yo, I heard you got a problem with me. Like, you got a problem with me?" I'm like, "Yeah. Like, I don't like respect what you do." But by the end of the conversation, it's like 10 minutes. It's like, I don't really hate this guy. I don't want to, it's just very different when you're in person versus not there. But it would have been very entertaining to see some of Kirk's interactions, some of the Right Angle Sports guys there as well. That would have been fun.
Now I have the Right Angle Sports guys DMing me, so we could talk about that. But yeah, I felt the exact same way as you. Like, there were some moments where I saw him like, that looks like a lot of fun. I wish I was there for that. And then there were some moments where I was like, that would give me a lot of social anxiety. I'm not sure I want that. Like the story of you, Jacob, or the video of you and Zilbert coming over and saying hi to you, and you just not wanting anything to do with it.
I tried so hard to make that intro happen. Jacob was like, I don't want to see Zilbert, and I just made sure it happened. It was very awkward.
And the story of Jason smiling, going up to Fezzik, which is so classic that's how Jason handled it.
Jason came running back over to me afterwards, and I was at like Betstamp had a booth there outside of the main ballroom, and Jason comes running over, and he's very visibly rattled and flustered.
Yeah,
right?
He was rattled.
I'm like, what the hell's going on? He's like, I just saw Fezzik at Garage Mahal. I'm like, what happened? He's like, he fucking called me your puppet and said that you're pulling all the strings and telling him what to say. He's like, I got so angry. And at that point, it was probably about half an hour later, I want to say, that me and Kanish were walking around trying to find Fezzik because Kanish wanted to interact with him as well. But that didn't come to fruition. That was like the one biggest disappointment, I would say, was not seeing Kanish and Fezzik interact at any point.
So Fezzik hit me up with a DM I didn't even understand because I didn't even know of the Jason meeting. And to my understanding, Jason walked up to Fezzik like it was a joke or with a big smile on his face.
Jason, like you could picture it happening, right? Like
Jason
grin on his face.
He called him out. He's like, "Hey, Steve," and then went to go shake his hand. And I'm like, "Why would you do that?"
So if there was a way to do it, like no smile, very straight faced, like if Jason wants to say hi to Fezzik, is there a way he can do it?
No, like if I'd seen
but
Fezzik,
you're in
I
the
would have
same
said
room,
nothing.
so it's just supposed to be awkward. Like we're enemies here
they
in
were in the
this room.
parking lot. Like Garage Mahal is where you park to come in.
It might have been like the bridge or something.
Yeah, like maybe in the bridge. So it's kind of a weird spot as well. But I don't know. Maybe you go up and like when I approached Chad, right? The first person when I walked into Circa that I saw was Chad, and he was just getting like a coffee at a coffee shop that's up at the top there. $6 coffees,
See, the anxiety of like, I'm just need a drink right now and someone might come yell at me for something I said 6 months ago. Like I know I'm like a delicate flower maybe, but that is causing me like anxiety thinking about.
So like for me, I very much like knew that was a possibility, but I never thought about it while I was there. Because you're mostly in the company of friends and you feel like protected in most. You really don't have spots where you feel vulnerable. You're talking to people we're hanging out with a lot of the Circle Back crew, Mr. Peanut Butter, China, Porter, like guys that nothing's really going to happen. No one wants to confront you when you're with your group of buddies. But yeah, there are certainly consequences to doing this show. And for me, the way that my tweeting style, and you have to work through those with people, but it's surprisingly easier to work through them in person, or at least get to a point where you're like agree to disagree. I think in the point with
Did
Fezzik
Jason
I think Jason probably should have just went up to him and be like, "Hey Fez, like if you got some time this week, let's chat." Rather than
isn't that almost like you gotta like almost have a drink in hand?
Maybe
that's like glad handing, and maybe they're like not on those terms. But if I don't know. If you actually want to have those words, you almost have to like come in peace.
Yeah. I think Jason had two options, and he chose the third bad one. One, if you're walking by, you just straight face, give a nod, acknowledge that they're there, walk by him like you don't need to talk. But if you want to interact, you go up to him and immediately face it head on. I know we've been saying things about you. Like, if you want to talk about it, we can talk about it. You can't go up to him and be like, buddy, like. I very rarely
calling him by his first name.
Totally right here. Like if someone who I've interacted with, who I actively really don't like on Twitter, came up to me laughing, pretending I'm
don't talk to me like you fucking know me. You don't know me. We're not friends.
Exactly. If they came up to me and were like, I know we've like had it out, like I want to talk about it. Okay, sure. Like obviously I'll give them the time. I'm not like gonna like want to kill someone.
Yeah, unless I really hated them, I'd probably be like, it's all good, man.
Yeah.
Like unless it was like one of like the 1 to 2 beefs that like actually stick out. Be like, I don't know, man. It's the internet. We're good.
Yeah. But don't pretend like you're friends before you have that acknowledgement, like we're fine.
Agreed.
There was like 3 of those conversations I had where I was just like, people tried to come up to me, try to be all buddy, and it one of them documented, of course, but it just really pissed me off, like to no end. Like these people who very much dislike me online or dislike who I'm associated with online, trying to be my friend in person. It like was just a severe waste of my time because I don't fucking want to talk to you. I don't like you.
Damn right.
I think it's tough. Like, I had one of those situations with Elf, right? Like, it was a first interaction I've had with Elf since I saw him in Boston. And like, obviously there's been some serious beef since there. And he said, let's go to the side of Legacy Club and let's talk. And I'm like, okay. And he tried that with some other people and they were like, no, fuck off. But I'm like, all right. And I went over there and he was trying to speak. I said, listen, I'm just going to say my piece. And I spoke to him for like 10 minutes about how, basically how I felt through the entire situation. I don't appreciate when people make shit up about me. I also don't appreciate when someone gives someone else a platform just to spew nonsense about me that they know is not true just for numbers. And I laid that all out there. And I told him at the end, like, listen, I don't want to have beefs. I genuinely don't want to have beefs in life. So I'll squash it. But like, we're not going to go back to being, I'm not popping into the spaces every day and we're not going to be buddy. And I think that was like a very civil interaction on a human level. We'll see. I mean, next time something comes up about me, whether or not I'll be tweeted about, which is probably a minus 500 yes. But
I'll take the minus 500.
Yeah. So, but that was, an awkward interaction. I mean, the toughest interaction I had all week was with Flup, honestly. That was like, I mean, Flup versus Kalshi was a big thing. Like that dropped. He started that tweet thread, which I guess we're going to get into here, like 15 minutes before our live show presented by Kalshi at Bet Bash. So it was like...
So you're like a coach? Like, I might have to take you out of the lineup here?
We talk...
Or you're just like, say what you got to say?
Yeah, so... I mean, Jake,
well,
let's
run
give the background and then
I'll
tell you.
Let's go through the whole topic here. So that is the lead up for today's show. The reason we didn't talk about it during the live show was because it literally happened 15 minutes before the show. Like, I was literally setting up for the show, round robin 42. Isaac comes in and he's like, "Did you see what Flup tweeted?" I'm like, "No." And then he showed me. I was like, "What the fuck?" Like, right before our live show. Anyways. The full backstory, at least part of the backstory, I don't have the full scope of it just because the tweets have been deleted. But it was maybe Rob, you have some more information, but it was along the lines of on Kalshi. After there was a tennis match, one of the players was walking towards the net to retire, and like very obviously was going to retire, and therefore the other person was going to win. And Flup made a very large bet on the other player to win, who was not going to retire. So he was angle shooting. He was trying to bet on what was pretty much a finalized event. And then because Kalshi doesn't void tickets because there's always two sides of it.
Sorry to interrupt. I could be totally wrong. I thought the match didn't happen.
So I
thought they withdrew before.
I believe I actually
could be totally wrong.
So for clarity, Flup is going to talk about this on Friday. He doesn't want to avoid it. He wants to address it head on. And we're going to give him the platform to do that because his own perspective is important. I got pretty messed up this week, just being in Vegas. So I was processing things so quickly, and by the time it was deleted, I actually don't know if it was pregame or live. But the reality is the market remained open for like an hour afterwards, and he just kept...
Everywhere on Kalshi?
No, just on
Kalshi specifically.
After the player had withdrawn.
He kept continuing to hit it, and this isn't a traditional sports book where, they just void bets afterwards. These are two-way markets, peer-to-peer. They settle at a previous price. And because of where the price was settled, Flup essentially lost the equivalent of a brand new car, $32,000 on that. So he was in a pretty bad mood, to say the least. And I guess his initial reaction was just to take it to Twitter.
Well, I don't think his initial reaction
were
was
there
that.
Kalshi reps there? He could have yelled
No,
at?
So from talking to him, he had talking to a lot of representatives of Kalshi.
Yeah.
And then when he felt as though it wasn't going to be resolved in his favor, that's when he went to Twitter to try and stir up a controversy.
Yes.
Knowing he was about to do a Kalshi presented show, which was poorly timed. But essentially, he bet on he had the knowledge of what the event was going to end as, and he was angle shooting, and he got caught and he lost quite a bit of money off of that. So here are some of the reactions that we have from Twitter. This is from Rishi Bet saying, it's funny seeing the virtue signaling reactions to the Flup tennis thing, as if a single one of you wouldn't try to get a live moneyline bet in if you see a player walking to the net to retire, and don't try to come up with arbitrary ethical difference. Next one comes from Man at the Vag, says, this seems very shady on Flup's part. Dude bet a shit ton on a side that was already settled, trying to squeeze value from a closed market. Dude's lucky they didn't keep the whole fucking bag and ban his account. To be honest, shady shit. And the third one comes from Andy Molitor at Andy MSFW, says, Flup probably shouldn't have tweeted that, but the folks trying to nail him to a cross maybe should chill a bit too. So on the outside looking in, I would love your perspective on this one, Kirk. Like, how would you feel in this situation? Would you do something like this? Just give your thoughts from where you saw it.
Absolutely. So this whole interaction tweet was like one of the funniest things I've seen, because one, a lot of people say like,
nothing says funny like your friend losing 32K, Kirk.
People always say that, we all get in line from Rob. Like, we only listen to Rob.
Right.
We can't say what we want.
Right.
I think there's pretty good evidence that that's not true. But in terms of my perspective, look, I'll shoot an angle happily. I've shot similar angles on exchanges before. And when those exchanges try to not honor my bet, I will lose my mind and freak out on them. So I'm like, the idea that there's some moral responsibility is laughable to me. Like, sportsbooks are trying, fine, it's an exchange. I saw someone tweet that the exchange model is based on trust.
Yeah.
That's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my entire life. People are out here to make money. There's not particularly a difference of someone on an odds screen seeing lines move and trying to get a line quicker versus taking an angle. Like, we're all trying to make money. So I've absolutely no problem with Flup angle shooting. But where he went wrong was tweeting it. No one has ever felt bad for an angle shooter losing out. Like, he never had a shot of having the public on his side here.
Yeah.
And to me, it was debatable if the rule made sense or not. I would have, if that were me and I lost that money, I would have bitched to Kalshi, even if I thought I was wrong or right, because 32 grand's a lot of money and I would have wanted to try getting it back. And like, he had at least some semblance of an argument. But him going to Twitter had the exact opposite effect.
Yeah.
Because everyone thought he looked bad. So in turn, it actually kind of made Kalshi look good and just didn't help his cause at all. But yeah, overall, I did think it was quite funny. I guess it's maybe not a good look of how I am as a friend.
I mean, as a fan of the show and of the network, and they do a great job. And Jacob, props to you. That audio work from the live remote. I've been a part of a lot of audio live remotes before. I wasn't live, but 5-star audio. Credit.
Thank you. I mean, it was basically like, I said in a comment when somebody commented, it's either I have control of everyone's microphone, which I do here, but we're in like a very poor sound treated room, or on Thursdays or Fridays, I don't have control of everyone's mic, but the rooms are sound controlled. So I don't get both. But in this occasion, I had both. It was a very good room to record, and everyone's mic was in full control of myself.
So not to diminish Jacob's efforts. Jacob did a great job the entire week for us.
Does Jason get credit?
This actually goes back to last year.
Was he insulted that I only gave Jacob credit and not Jason?
His name hasn't been mentioned in a long time, but producer Zach set up the room last year. He was contracted as part of the Bet Bash team to set up the podcast room. So he purchased the equipment and made the recommendations. That said, it still requires everything running smoothly. So credit to Jacob as well.
So back to the Friday show. Flup's big thing, and I agree, like, be upset. I actually think I agree with Andy after reading everything.
Yeah.
Flup's big thing is, though, like, I shoot angles, risk comes with angles.
Yes, he said that many times before.
Like, that's his whole shtick to the pro betting life, is if I see an opportunity, I have to accept that there's risk. And he says that with, like, getting ripped off with runners or the whole consortium of ways you guys can get ripped off. But the risk, he weighs it and he shoots.
Yep.
So what are we talking about? From him, what are we talking about?
So this is very much what I relayed to him as well. So first and foremost, people who do want to crucify him, not 99% of people who see a market open after the fact where they know what the result is already are going to bet it.
The sports book you used to consult for left up an NHL free agency market for what team a player would be on next after he signed.
Yeah.
Smashed it. All my friends smashed it.
Sure.
Like,
and you know the risks that come with it. You know at that point that they could void your bet. Potentially they could shut your account down to zero. I mean, if it's offshore, they could fucking seize your funds if for all, like, they could do whatever the fuck they want, basically. So that risk is associated with these types of bets. I think where Flup miscalculated was, one, he's already not endeared himself to a different subsection of gambling Twitter through the quote unquote poker scandal, which was complete bullshit. But any opportunity that they can get to dunk on him, they will, no matter what. So he kind of has to, like, I don't know that he can ever earn that respect back, or if there's ever going to be a situation where he's embroiled in some sort of controversy and it doesn't get like blown out of proportion. But, you know, that is something that I think he completely miscalculated. Second thing is, I understand he acts on impulse very much like I do. And I've been through, you know, situations before where I've tweeted something that I regret immediately. Sometimes you're just so angry in a situation that you don't really process it and you just get it out. I think, you know, he didn't really recognize that until maybe after the show, and we chatted a little bit on it a bit more. He eventually deleted the tweets. I didn't instruct him to delete the tweets. He did this all of his own fruition. But from my perspective, shot an angle. In my opinion, he might disagree. You might disagree. I think the house rules are very clear on how that would be settled. Do I think it's a good house rule? Maybe not. But I think that they were clear on how that would be settled. I think the biggest issue you could take issue with is the fact that the market did remain open after the fact. And I talked to guys from Kalshi at the conference. I said, that's where this whole thing has to get improved, right? And listen, this happens with any product in the sportsbook space. It really does. There's no one who hasn't left the market open after the fact, but that's really where this problem initiated. With that said, I think Flup has to take responsibility. I think he's out 32K, and it sucks, but that's the risk that's involved in sports betting, as he would say himself. So he can give his own perspective on Friday, and he's more than welcome to do that. I'm not here to shelter anybody's takes because we have a sponsorship. I think it's important for us to speak the truth. But I still love the Kalshi product personally. And I honestly don't think that they were out of line here other than making a mistake in keeping the market open.
Yeah, I think leaving the market open, obvious mistake. I think anyone at Kalshi would agree. Otherwise, you could debate on the rules. Honestly, I'm not thinking about it. It kind of does make more sense that the bet was live. And if that's the case, then the rules make a lot more sense. But yeah, like, I think Kalshi mostly was in the right. I think Flup trying to get his money back is reasonable. I think going to Twitter was just a not massive, because at the end of the day, who cares? He has a little bit of pie on his face, but it was a miscalculation.
Being livid, trying to get the money back, like, no issues. Seeing red, even sending out a tweet that you regret and delete. Kind of been there. Like, don't really see. I think I could see why everyone felt they were in the right here.
I really feel for Flup because he's a personal friend of mine. I respect him a ton. So like, I don't love to see people I'm close with go through situations like that. Even when you kind of bring it upon yourself, it still bothers me a little bit. But at the end of the day, sometimes you're in that situation where you're seeing red. You just got to take some time to process it. Also, yeah,
Flup's a fucking killer.
Yeah.
Like, this just, not that I don't know him nearly as well as both of you, but just, every incident, it comes more clear. And I don't say that as a negative.
Right.
Might like not want to be at like the same poker table or maybe part of something where we're on different teams, but I want him on my side because I think he's a killer.
Yeah.
And he's a guy, like, in this game, I think you want your foxhole.
I agree.
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
And the thing about Flup, to give him some credit here, is I think Flup does sometimes, get mad and do things a little reactionary, but he's also actually good at being like hand up I was wrong. He deleted the tweet. He was like, it was dumb. I tweeted it. I don't know if he regrets the whole incident, but like,
he deleted the tweet, but doesn't necessarily mean it's settled for him.
Well, we'll see on Friday. He'll have more info. Yeah.
I think Flup is good at recognizing he's wrong if he is wrong.
Yeah. It might have been too late in this instance. Damage is already done, but I think I agree.
But like the people on the show who we're going to talk about later, to me, who just like dig and dig and dig and dig and dig and never come up for air, and obviously totally different situations. But I think Flup's good at, if people he trusts says he's wrong, he can admit that.
Yep.
All right. Well, we'll get on the topic of Bet Bash a little bit later on, but we wanted to, on the topic of Kalshi here, talk a little bit of golf here with our golf man, Geoff Fienberg. We have a market pulled up here for the Tour Championship winner, Scottie Scheffler. When I pulled this, trading at 34%, Rory McIlroy at 9%, and Tommy Fleetwood in third at 7%. Scottie Scheffler, of course, just made the comeback victory to take the BMW Championship. We'll go to you first of all on this one, Geoff. How are you feeling ahead of this? And do you think this is accurate to Scottie Scheffler?
I am so happy that I recorded, outside of some emergency or Ryder Cup stuff, my last golf podcast for many months. I'm so happy. Not that I'm not seeing the board well right now.
You almost hit 3 winners in a row.
Yeah,
that was the
This is just a hit and giggle. It's 30 fucking guys. It's gobs of money, even for dead last. I would honestly say I wouldn't be making exactas in this market. Like, instead of betting without Scottie, I would bet who I think would win, exact finish, Scottie first, my pick second.
All right. So here's what I'm going to... Is that volume number correct? 169?
So this was last night.
A million?
The current... So Scottie Scheffler is currently trading at 35%.
Is there a decimal there?
I can't tell. On my screen, Jacob, is that 169 million in volume above the search?
That's what it says.
Okay. So this is
obviously that's not handle. That's like,
so right now it's
if you bet $1 on a 1%, that counts as 100.
Yeah, sure, but it's still like
so the volume right now is a little bit more than this, 169,728,000.
Yeah. Okay. So massive market here that's being bet into. So what I'm about to say is completely ridiculous. Okay. Bear with me here. I'm not a golf expert at all. On the surface, whenever you see like someone like Scottie Scheffler, who, that the chip in yesterday, which was absurd and like being talked about today, you almost never find value on the guys at the top of the board, right? Like every casual wants to bet Scottie Scheffler in some capacity. However, I still like when we...
What's the math? What's the actual number on that?
It's like minus 300, right? 33%.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Scottie to win pays what?
300 to not win.
Correct.
Yes.
That's a bad bet.
Yes is a good...
Yeah, yes is a good bet.
How can I not look at this market? He's going to...
I thought you were saying the exact opposite.
I was. So this is my whole thing, Kirk. Like I'm programmed to look at these boards and be like, there's no way there could be value on this guy at the top, right? Like he is at his peak right now. He's drawing the comparisons to Tiger in his prime, which honestly, statistically speaking, are not far off really at this point or another. He's going to very likely start with strokes ahead of the field in that event. Like,
he was plus 175 yesterday morning, down 4
strokes.
So I would argue in a 30-man field starting even, this is a very fair yes number.
Right.
I'd put that out there.
Oh, they don't. Sorry, am I wrong? They don't do the strokes anymore?
There's no more starting strokes.
Oh, okay. I did. Okay, now this is making more sense.
But relative to like comparables.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, there's no more starting strokes.
Okay, I appreciate you clearing that up for me. So in the final
event... So he's
got
no head start.
Okay, so this makes more sense to me now, and that's why I'm such a horrible bettor, because I don't actually really understand what I'm betting on at some point or another. Even then, it still borderline feels wrong to me. It does.
Yeah, I would say that, like, I don't know anything about golf. I obviously know Scottie's been unbelievable. Like, intuitively, these are generally times where I would think like, maybe the no's a good luck.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure. But that
I'm not
like
stepping
when
in front of
when everyone wants one thing and the public is only going one way and it's something feels inevitable.
Yes.
That's typically to me the time where you want to go, all right, maybe I should just take some rec action here and post a no on something like Kalshi. But I would need to look into more than that. But that's like where my betting intuition would take me.
Yeah.
I'll be interested. I know
I'd rather be like the flop and step in front of like Scottie live when you think that there's reinforcements.
Yeah. I mean, I thought you were going to see be like the Flup and step in front, or like the Fosen and hit Fleetwood 94 cents, you know?
I actually
Imagine Fleetwood's first win came as the
that's-
Tour Championship.
I'm a bet Fleetwood. I'm actually, my bets this week are going to be like, what could be the funniest fucking outcome?
Yeah.
Tommy
root for
Fleetwood
chaos.
winning the Tour Championship, winning like the season-long race, exponentially hilarious. Situations, not that I'm betting on it, but like I'm cheering for Brian Harmon to win to like make the Ryder Cup team.
I
just
can't
to
cheer
make
for
that
Brian
team
Harmon
bad.
because of the amount of waggles he does.
Yeah, he
at the
sucks,
ball. Reminds
but
me of my brother.
I'm just cheering
Really
for like the
painful to watch.
funniest shit. Like on Live this week, John Rahm won 0 tournaments.
Yeah.
And Neiman won like a third of their tournaments. And he won their season-long thing.
Yep.
Which is pathetic. But I want something like that to happen on the PGA this week.
All right. If you want to get involved with this market, high liquidity markets like this, sometimes unique markets, sometimes more common markets like this, you can do so by heading over to Kalshi. You can use the QR code that is on screen right now, or at any time over the course of the podcast you're listening to or the video you're watching. You go to the link in the description, sign up to Kalshi today. And at the same time, you can support the Hammer Betting Network directly. All right, we're going to jump back into the Bet Bash discussions here. A little bit of a recap of other people's thoughts on Bet Bash and what went on. I know we talked about it a little bit already, but we documented on the live show that Jeff Benson was taken out to dinner by GRP Wins. And I think George had a room comped at Circa. I think he had a limo that picked him up and drove him around. And Jeff Benson, after Bet Bash, said gave his at GRP Wins Bet Bash recap. One dinner together at Peter Luger's, one incredible seminar performance, one losing PLO session at the Wynn, and 0 Circa Survivor entries. I was duped, hoodwinked, and bamboozled. At least I got a decent stake out of the whole deal. Do we think there's a limo? There's a room comp. Do we think all this is happening if Jeff knew in advance there was no Circa Survivor entry that was going to happen?
I don't think it would have happened, but I also read this and I also don't even feel like Benson is really upset.
No,
He's making
feel-
fun of
not
it
at
a
all.
little bit. He's not.
No,
like,
not
he's not
upset
that
at all.
upset.
No, I know it is hysterical though that like if you followed them around the week, like how much time they spent, they had a private dinner together, and then George said he was going to do a Survivor entry and he didn't, and I think it's because he lost $500 in that PLO session. I was coming down from my room when George was walking back into Circa after he lost the money. He wasn't in a great mood. He didn't really want to chat. Plus, he's spending money on Fremont Street to have like snakes wrapped around him and stuff like that as well. Well, more money not going towards Circa Survivor, but I
was asked by someone in the outside world about the George Benson relationship, and I just put it simple, like Benson knows, like George fucks.
Yeah,
like
that's it. George fucks.
That's a simple. Like I think he feels a little deterred about the 0 contest entries, but I think Benson's like, now that's in my content pocket. Like that is now something he can now hold against George when George is looking for handouts maybe in the future. But I don't think there's like a limo ride from the airport on 0 contest.
I think that was part of like it's kind of like an unwritten rule, It's like we're going to hook you up with all this stuff because you're doing But
George is a big fish, and don't let people people can presume he's like a minnow, but like Benson is happy to reel in that fish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say that, and you guys were there, so you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like I was kind of on the side of like, George is doing a seminar. That's dumb. What's Spanky doing? Felt like George was a big winner of the week.
Oh yeah, George
owns it.
Yeah.
I got into experience a couple days with George. Like he owns it, and not in a way where like other people are awkward or take themselves so seriously. George is so goddamn comfortable in his skin, being George, NFL capping savant in the Midwest, helping mom. He's so comfortable in his role that it rattles people.
I think in the past, there's been some issues around women, and in particular, some tweets that have rubbed people the wrong way in regards to George. Yeah. And like, I'm not going to condone that. No. I personally did not see him like hitting on anyone this week in years past or anything like that. So maybe he's learning his lessons and going on. But I think that's a lot of what, and some people just don't understand the fascination. And I get
George
that.
Wouldn't even win creepiest guy there.
Oh, not even close.
Yeah, that's why he wouldn't even podium.
him commenting during the live circle back was like, I was
laughing
out loud.
It was just like, it was so good because I wanted to ask him about the Notebook in person, and he sat front row.
When I saw him sit
the
there.
only person who was in frame on the camera that was provided by Bet Bash. This literally could not have gone anybody. I didn't instruct him. I didn't direct him. He just sat there and went, "This is perfect."
Yeah,
it was so good.
I think I can't remember the exact joke I ripped on him there, but I actually felt bad in the moment. I was like, "Ooh, I think I might have just crossed the line."
No, I don't think so.
No,
George is actually so the type of shit people say to George that like slides off his back.
Yeah. The next one we have is from Pete SBC at PeteLing1 says, Bet Bash Vegas recap as I leave before tonight's black tie dinner. Final first time here, couldn't be more impressed. Great connections made, almost too many, ? Some quality seminars attended, highlights being Antonino's on scaling and the mindset with Elliot and Samantha. I wasn't able to attend any seminars because I was there for work, but Antonino's was the one I did want to go to that I unfortunately did miss. But overall, I very much enjoyed Bet Bash. I haven't really gave my thoughts on it all yet. I really enjoyed it. I think the biggest thing for me was like everyone was just so nice there. Like everyone was willing to chat with you, interact with you. Nobody really felt like standoffish at all. So the people there were amazing. Rob, do you have any extra thoughts?
No, I love the event. I will go pretty much every year, as long as it remains like this type of format. I love it. For me, I kind of treat it as a party, so that's maybe why I like it a little bit more. I don't go to every seminar and panel but I'm there for networking and to interact with people that I don't see regularly and to meet new people. I think it's a great event, and honestly, it kind of triggers me when people like shit on it. They're like, "Oh, it's this cash grab. Like, why would you pay $1,000 to do this and that?" And it's like, I personally would pay more than the event is priced, seriously. And I like, this is, yes, Spanky's my friend, but like, I'm not his bitch or anything. I'm not here to promote the event. I genuinely just really enjoy it. I like the camaraderie that comes with it. One thing Pete did say, great connections made, almost too many, ? I do find that maybe I don't have enough time with certain people over the course of a week because there are actually so many people there that I want to interact with. But like, that's a nice problem to have. So not my first time there, my 5th time. I've been to every single Bet Bash. I will continue going until the end of time. And I really, really look forward to it.
But do we have like in this role, not because I didn't do the homework, is there going to be like the standard tweet of like Pizzola big time to me at Bet Bash?
No, I don't think it's in here.
Here's what I will say.
It's not in here.
I didn't.
Because
I
don't know. I'm just saying it could get like you're there, but if someone could feel like, oh, you didn't say hi to them or you're too like big for them, but it'd be like, dude, you have to come say hi to me.
Oh, no,
I'm a teddy bear.
Not specifically about Pizzola, but we have a tweet that kind of touches.
So I didn't do speed networking for the first time this year. I made the choice not to sign up for speed networking. Last year, I didn't really love the pairings that I got. I got a lot of touts. I got Fezzik. I got GRP.
Maybe Spanky was trolling you.
No, because it's done by a separate organization, and honestly, it's really thoroughly organized. So I didn't do that, and I was wondering if people would be disappointed in that. But I make myself very available at these. Like, I'm at all the events. I'm at the open bars. I'm at Legacy Club every single night. You will see me on the casino floor. Any single person that introduces themselves to me gets the time of day. And that's very important to me. It's kind of why I come home and feel like I've been there for a year. But I that's like, for what we do and for what this brand was built off of and my own personal brand, I think that's like really important.
No, of course. but they have to come say hi to you.
Yes, they have
But
to.
anyone who approached you wouldn't come and say like Pizzola big time.
You would not find someone.
Next tweet here from Kanish talks about Matt Silbert, who didn't have a very good betting trip in terms of betting. He says, Zilbo immediately going on a cooler as soon as Bet Bash starts, as he's live sweating the games in the book at Circa to tank the nice season he has going is just incredible cinema. The script writers really outdid themselves with this one. So I know for a fact he is 1-12 in the last week.
Ooh.
I'm pretty sure he was. I don't know for sure. He was 0-8. He was 0-4 at Circa because he won a bet. I think it was yesterday. I think he was 0-8 when he was physically in Las Vegas on his bets.
Yeah,
it's a win for Benson.
And there were reports of the lines that he was using for his bets not actually being in existence. So
I did experience
not great.
that. I asked Zilbert for a few bets where he gave me lines that never existed. I will say this to people who are like, the GRP thing is a shtick, Zilbert is a shtick. It's definitely not. These are who they are. It's not a shtick. Zilbo hacking butts in the middle of Circa, sweating baseball games all day, was actually one of the highlights of my trip. I knew exactly where I could find him at all times. One time he was running by me and I actually stopped him to say hello, and he couldn't get a live bet in that was going to be on an under, and immediately a home run was hit. So he was thanking me for the rest of the day that he got an extra half run because he ran into me. But then I also watched the end of that game play out where I want to say he had like a couple runs to spare with one out in the ninth, and I watched it all fall apart. Like I was sitting with Mr. Peanut Better, Fake Sharp, Beagle Bets, a few other guys, and we just saw this happening. And I was like, oh man, like I really wanted him to win a game at some point, but it was an experience for sure. And I mean, this is like part of the reason I want to go to these types of events. Some people they're like, oh, like why should Zilbert be there? I don't know. I want to meet these people that are in the industry. I don't really care. And I think he was an interesting cat, as he would say.
I've seen it being debated, like people on the fence about going to Bet Bash, not going to Bet Bash. Is that a turnoff? Is that something that would turn people off? And I'm of the mind that if you have the brain, if you're smart enough to think you should go to Bet Bash, you have the brain capacity to know exactly what a George Matt seminar is.
Yep.
That's opposite a Judah seminar.
Yep.
That doesn't mean that your value algorithm on your ticket has changed in any way, and that there is a big portion of the Bet Bash hardo smart pro better community that actually enjoys that comedic relief aspect of the seminar.
It's also like a very heavy conference. So like, you know, you go to GRP Zilbo, you get like a break in the day almost. You're just like, what is possibly going to happen next year? But
I heard about people that aren't on the internet that ended up in GRP's seminar.
There was a few that walked out of there. Like they didn't know they didn't realize that this was
NFL futures.
There needed to be a warning. Like if you are not perpetually online, you do not go into this NFL futures.
I heard a few
seminar.
people after that were like, that was wild. Like they had no idea. They had no idea what was going to happen there.
Next tweet is from Kirk Evans, who talks about how crazy it is to see that with people at Bet Bash having a real effect on market efficiency. Do you want to elaborate on that one a bit?
Was this real?
Yeah,
Like,
100%. Like, well, one, even just for me, all my movers were gone. So it was literally like, I had to it was much harder to get down. But NFL preseason was last week. A quarterback would go out a minute, 2 minutes longer than normally what would happen based on that news.
Was Hitman also on the golf course or in addition? Because he wasn't at Bet Bash.
Yeah, Hitman's locked in.
Yeah.
But people know things were taking longer. Even like a WNBA total, I got down at 11:30 in the morning. Like no way that total would have been around by 11:30. But it makes sense. They're as much as it feels like a massive community. There aren't very many winning originators and bettors. So you take How many people were at Bet Bash?
I want to estimate like 700.
Yeah, you take 700 of them and they stop working. Like it's going to have an impact on the market.
It's true.
That makes total sense why there'd be stale WNBA in preseason.
This one comes from Justin Woodcock at Positive EV Play, but it's a reply to a tweet from Bradley Tabitha, who what was she at? She was at Stacks. Was she like marketing at Stacks? Something along those lines?
Previously, yes.
Previously. Anyways, Fezzik's been recently kind of flying her banner, trying to get her employed somewhere. And she said best part of Bet Bash was meeting Fezzik in person. And Justin Woodcock quoted and said, "Did he steal your place?" Which I thought was really good. We'll have a little bit more on Fezzik a bit later, so I don't think we need to touch on this one too much right now. But Jason probably one day will tell you how he did not have a very good interaction with Tabitha. Not Fezzik, Tabitha as well. He did not have a very good interaction with her.
I didn't hear this story.
How many enemies did Jason make?
I don't know.
At least 2.
And props to Fezzik.
I wouldn't say he made an enemy. It was just not. She didn't seem to very much want to speak with him, according to him. But I'm going to let him tell that story one day. So.
Well, I guess she's Team Fezzik.
Yeah, I don't know. You'll have to ask him. The next tweet comes from Calvin and Hobo. It says, one of my favorite social dynamics at Bet Bash was seeing the smaller scale originators such as myself standing on the edge of the sectioned off areas, having a hard time just going up to people and saying hi out of the blue. Well, the big time originators and the movers were all the life of the party, laughing loudly and having engaging conversations. That's 100% not a coincidence and a part of scaling that I need to get better at. Made a number of great connections and had some amazing conversations once I got over myself and just started saying hi to people I didn't know. For anyone planning to come next year, make sure you do that from the jump.
So that goes to Geoff's point. Like I try to make myself available, but that doesn't mean everyone will be willing to go up to you. I want to say you alerted me to Calvin and Hobo a long time ago, saying he'd make a good Circles Off guest.
Did I?
You did.
Nice.
I also he also came up to me at the end of the Circle Back recording and shared a very private message with me, but it was very positive, and I highly appreciated that he did do that. So I'm glad he did muster up the courage to do so. It is challenging. There's a lot of people like these open bars that start at 7:00. By 7:30, they are incredibly jammed. And I will say, me navigating those, definitely, it's really easy for me to go up to people I know and say hi. But if you're from the outside looking in and you don't have that connection, it could definitely be a little bit more challenging.
I mean, this is just human nature. We can all relate to this unless you're like a very outward person.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like you feel like, even though it's a conference and people say like, come chat, you still feel like you're stepping on someone's toes. I would almost like find it, if you filmed me in this scenario, you would get like incredibly funny footage because you would see me like trying to go in to like land the plane and then like abort the landing, circle back, try to like get some air again, see if I can come back in again, land that plane.
Yeah.
Just hope not to crash the plane, but the amount of like landing attempts it might like take me before I went over and said hi to even like Sammy P or something.
Yeah.
Like everyone seems very friendly, but I relate to this very much, even if I come off as someone on the show that's like outroverted.
I just like him tweeting this because I totally agree with you. Like this is something a lot of people experience, but like generally people don't tweet like insecurities or like vulnerable statements on Twitter, and this is just like obviously true. I'm sure a lot of people felt that way. Good for you for tweeting it.
And it's a funny mental image because you can see how that divide would be, you know, Pizzola and Peabody and all the cronies yucking it up. And then there's these like group of guys like on the out there, but like on the outside, like all wanting to get in the cool kids club.
Yes. I can't even like imagine like showing up to this and not like really knowing people. Like I would be a mess in that scenario. I was like a little bit concerned before these networking events. I was fortunate that like from working with the Hammer, I know a lot of these people and I got to meet them in person for the first time, which was great. But I was a little bit taken aback by like people who knew me just from the show. So I was lucky in that regard. But like if there's no way I could just show up to this event on my own and just start introducing myself to people. I don't think.
They probably need to like pound a couple drinks in their room as icebreakers before they go say hi to the pretty girl Pizzola. But I can relate, I think.
Geoff, I hate to be the guy that does this, but if I don't do it, there's going to be a comment about how me and Kirk are idiots. You said outroverted.
Outrovert.
Extrovert.
Extrovert. See,
I just had I had to do it because these people, they don't let it go.
Let the
The
comments.
commenters are like, oh, I can't believe Pizzola didn't correct Geoff when he said this wrong.
Get it? Roast me leave a comment. Roast me in the comments. It's all for the comments.
Last part of our Bet Bash recap is Rob grabbed a piece of history at Bet Bash. Rob, you said you were just walking to the VIP dinner when you spotted the famous, very large notebook that GRP used for his seminar at Bet Bash, which we talked about during the live show. And if you have a keen eye watching, you know it's been in the background of the shot this entire time, down in the corner there. Maybe we'll get it framed one day.
Yeah, I think we will.
We got to do something.
I also have all the sheets. I brought home every
Yes.
single sheet of paper that was ripped off. There's some really interesting ones out there. This one's interesting because he just wrote out the odds for every comeback player of the year.
And then wrote rules question
mark. So I don't know what was happening there, but it is there. Broner asked, how much would you need to be paid to part with it? Like, it's not on the table. It's I mean, maybe if somebody wanted to make like an enormous donation to charity, I would give it up to them. If we did some sort of like diabetes research or responsible gaming, maybe. But for now, it's staying here. There's
Have a shot.
And you know
Great
what?
call.
It was just going to get taught. Like when you go upstairs to the third floor at Circa, where the ballroom is, you walk by like this little booth area, and that's where like the Bet Bash coordinators are sitting. I saw Luke there, Spanky's head trader, and I asked him. I can't remember if he asked me or if I asked him, but I saw it there on the counter behind him. Like what's happening with that? And he's like, "Oh, we're gonna get rid of it. Like, do you want it?" I'm like, "Absolutely. I'm bringing it down with me," and I did. It was a great decision.
That can't be easy to pack.
You know what? I took a full luggage this time. It's extremely rare that I do that. I almost always
We were there
pack
for a week.
Yeah, I was there for a week, plus the golf trip where I had to pack my golf shoes and some golf gear because I didn't bring my clubs. I had to put a lot of stuff in the bag. That just fit perfectly. I had to fold it slightly right on top, but got home right away, unpacked it, put some heavy boxes on top to try to flatten it out. And it's looking like it's in good shape. So
a piece of history, always with us in this studio.
I like you explained to your wife why you're like manicuring this oversized notepad with like.
That was the toughest conversation I had all week. She's like, "Why would you bring this home?" And I'm like showing her tweets of like GRP, and she's like, "I don't get it. What's so funny?" And I'm like, "I just can't." See, my wife is, whenever I'm laughing about something gambling related I see on Twitter, I sit there and I laugh to myself. And she's like, "What's so funny?" And I'm like, "I can't explain this to you. It's just so funny to me." And after a while, she's like, "I would really like if you tried to explain them to me. Like, I'd like to be in on these
And
jokes."
has she ever once thought it was funny?
And
This is the first time I did it. And then she's like, "Never mind. Just go back to."
Yeah, because you're like, I can keep talking, honey, but it only gets weirder.
Yeah.
I promise.
I mean, how would you go? Like, think about trying to explain.
I had to explain to my wife that I'm going to visit him.
That's true.
You go.
It's summertime. I got 3 kids.
Yes.
And I got to explain why I'm going to the Midwest to eat breakfast with this revered character.
That content is dropping soon, by the way. Look out for that. Hammer HQ YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at the Hammer HQ as well.
Speaking of content, there were a lot of people at Bet Bash who graciously provided their time to record some additional content with myself in the bunk bed suite that we had. The bunk bed suite was a hit. Everyone loved the bunk bed suite that came in and had a look at it, including Rufus, who did come in, and we have some content coming out with him involved as well in the future. Now, you said it earlier on in the show. Geoff said it. It'd be difficult to meet somebody, have a great interaction with them, and then be upset with something they said online. That's a pretty good example coming up here because Rufus was a great guy and he provided his time, and I'm very thankful for that. But I don't really agree with what he said here in regards to Steve Fezzik. So Rufus at Rufus Peabody pointed out, had a nice civil discussion with Fezzik Sports today at Bet Bash. Fez feels like it's heads you win, tails I lose with Twitter interactions. I said there are lots of people who will always look to attack him because he sells picks. He mentioned parallel with identity politics. Example, XYZ is a Dem, so everything he or she does is wrong. It feels like people are criticizing the messenger and not focusing on the message. I'm guilty of this myself at times, and I will try to do better. Followed it up by also saying things that, in my opinion, are valid criticisms of Fez's service. Giving out lines that are available at less than 30% of books, going against his own services criteria. Number 2, selling other people's plays. Number 3, giving out live lines without heads up to clients with a 60-second window to bet them. And number 4, misleading advertising by highlighting short-term win streaks in the midst of a down year. I think it's valid to criticize his recent record, but I also think that by picking arbitrary endpoints without looking at a broader picture, some of these criticisms undermine the more legitimate arguments by doing the very thing that I've criticized Steve for doing. Number 4, Right Angle Sports, obviously also very notorious in the pick selling game, says good constructive criticism for Fezzik Sports and all pick sellers. Agree with all 4 of these and would add 5 inflated units/stars, every play 2 to 3 stars. And 6, hard to follow release times, very early/late, often without any sort of warning. Mr. Peanut Butter, Mike, had this to say about it. He says, I agree, all caps, I agree. Those who are negative to pick sellers don't have any credibility. I would go further. Must sell picks in order to have an opinion on pick sellers. Until you know the pain of sending losing plays to customers, don't speak on it. Rob, what were your thoughts on this? I actually, funny enough, was alerted to this tweet because Rufus's tweets are displayed on the big screen at Circa.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw this one about Fezzik. I immediately went to my phone. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? So that was good. But Rob, what were your thoughts?
So my initial response to reading those tweets was like one of the most massive eye rolls I've ever done in my entire life. I think you can't really have it both ways in these types of scenarios, right? Rufus has notorious, I don't want to say picked on Fezzik, but he's been critical of him. And I think definitely some of the human interactions, you see a different side of a person. And, I kind of saw that with my interaction with Yanni the Greek, right? Where he came up to me and he's like, you got a problem? I'm like, yeah, I got a problem. And he's like, well, what's your problem? And I explained that, from the ages of like 16 to 25, I was a big time losing bettor. I got misled by touts. I bought losing picks, and I don't really respect that side of the industry. And, people who go through a lot of the actions that are there, by the end of it, he's kind of giving me his side of the story. And I don't want to get into like all the details of there. It's a private conversation, but you're like, okay, this guy maybe is not as bad as I may have had him out to be. But at the end of the day, he's still doing these things, right? So like, I'm not going to go to Twitter and post like this rebuttal of like, oh, I had this great conversation with this guy and, he's actually a nicer guy. Like at the end of the day, you're either engaging in the shady practices or you're not. And I don't really think that there's much of a middle ground to be had here. So obviously my own personal bias and my relationship with Steve comes into play when I'm evaluating this type of situation, but it actually felt rather inauthentic from Rufus. And usually I consider him to be a pretty authentic person. So that was just my vibe.
Yeah, no, I think that I like Rufus a lot. I think that tweet is frankly ridiculous. I think the comparison to identity politics is completely insane. Like, we're not criticizing Fezzik because he believes something. We're criticizing Fezzik because we think he's doing something actively wrong. And the thing that really frustrates me is that these, Fezzik, like in that tweet, Ras as well, like I can totally empathize. I don't think these are bad people by any means. Yeah. I don't think that they want to do anything
actually
bad.
am in like the vast minority of, I don't think Fezzik is like intentionally scamming
Oh yeah,
people.
sorry.
I
exactly.
think he actually believes he's doing help to people.
Sure. At least intentionally bad. But like, I have a big belief that you aren't like what you say, you're what you do. Like, you're not a good person because you are nice to people and you have good interactions. That's how people form to think if you're a nice person, is how you interact with them. But actually, what makes you a good or bad person is what you do. And like, to me, the idea that like in Rufus's tweet, you shouldn't care about that, it's an arbitrary endpoint. And it's a reasonable criticism that he's down this year. He's down 70 units now.
Yeah,
like,
over 70.
It's 70 units on top of all these 4 things of giving out lines at only $30, selling other people's plays. Like, that's on top of all of that. Even Ras, like, again, I can empathize with people being like, I need to earn. I understand that. But like RAS, I went on their website last night. I was looking at this. Last 3 years of picks, it's 1,500 picks. It's like 1.5% ROI. The idea that, and it's like 27 units, 19 of those units are in extra games. Mm-hmm. The idea that the amount of money you would have to spend to subscribe to every single one of their packages, get worse lines, things like that it's a good service. In my opinion, that's frankly ridiculous. I don't care like about these people I didn't know Fezzik before gambling. I didn't know the people at RAS. I just think that what they sell is bad. And I think I'm allowed to say that without feeling bad because maybe they're nice to you in your interactions.
I think that's very fair. Also, you should say how you feel because it's how you feel. And like they're entitled to sell picks and do that and have a living and provide. But that doesn't mean you have to like treat them as do-gooders.
Yes.
Either. Although that's all I want to say on that. Peanut Butter is truly one of the best Twitter.
He's number one for me.
Yeah.
I don't.
His threads.
Yeah.
I can't even like single them out now because there were so many things he had me just in stitches laughing about. He is to this space on Twitter what like Shohei is to baseball.
I was fortunate enough to play a bunch of craps with Peanut Butter, who has absolutely no idea how to play craps. So was tailing bets from other people at the table and watched him hit back-to-back midnight bets. So a 12 to be rolled. Sure. 31-1. I'm like, you're an actuary. You know the odds on this should be 36-1. He's like, I don't care. I'm tailing bets. He literally hit them back-to-back, made like 4,500 in back-to-back spins. Truly hysterical dude. I'm glad you called that out because I've been meaning to do that for a while. I think if I had to do like a rankings of my favorite Twitter accounts, I don't think this is like tier 1, God tier, basically S tier, no one close.
On this, just to get my thoughts in on this conversation in regards to Fez, like when I saw this tweet, like the thing that screamed out to me, like what does Fezzik provide that like to the industry of value? Like the service right now is down 70 plus units. You could talk about this all-time numbers, whatever, but like giving out like Rufus literally lists out, he's giving out lines on a consistent basis that are not widely available. He gives out other people's plays consistently. He's been giving out live bets this season, and even his customers are complaining about it. Like there's no way they're able to get this down. And then he's highlighting these short-term losers. Like all of this is happening. So like I just don't understand why Rufus would be sticking his neck out for this, where there are all these valid criticisms.
It was just a really weird couple tweets because it seemed like he was pointing out that these exist, but he was like kind of dampening everything by saying like, I'm guilty of like making judgments myself, where it's also like dismissing all of these valid criticisms. I don't know. It read really weird to me. And when I read it, I was like, why? I don't know why he would. I mean, we could ask Rufus at some other point in time why he would, but I would guess he had an interaction with Steve, which he said he did, where he maybe felt bad for the amount of criticism that's happened in the past. And that's relatable. There's been times before where I've went after some other people and you meet them and you're like, fuck, I do feel bad, but those criticisms are still really real. And I wouldn't kind of backtrack them because
you feel bad.
Yeah. I mean, that's just
totally,
the reality of it.
We'll move into our next topic here on the topic of pick sellers who can do, just can have some scummy practices on certain occasions, not particularly Fezzik, but just any in general. People are quick to want to alert others of these shady practices that do take place. And a potential example arose on Twitter from @PlatinumTips_. Says, drop your fucking Cash App /Venmo. I am the fucking GOAT, giving everyone that likes and comments $1,000, which I don't really think is going to be the case because this was a tweet that occurred on August 17th, 2025 at 12:31 a.m. It is a parlay plus 980,000 for Jason Dominguez to 2+ home runs and Harrison, I actually don't know how to pronounce the name, Bader, to hit 2+ home runs. $25 parlay returned $240,000.
How would you pronounce that in any other way, Jacob?
Could be batter.
You would call Harrison batter?
It could have been.
I mean, that would typically have two. I will continue. I'll drop it now. Let's move on.
Anyways, $25 to win $240,000. Now, as someone points out here in Parlay Bay, parlay_bay, Bader plays for the Phillies, bro, which is an accurate statement, but this is a tweet of a screenshot of a bet that took place on July 4th. So calling out, yes, because this is a screenshot that has Bader playing for the Minnesota Twins. He now plays for the Phillies. But Platinum Tips using this parlay from July 4th to get people to interact with a tweet to get $1,000 when I will personally guarantee, I will almost personally guarantee,
Settle down, Jason.
because it's a disclaimer at the start of the video that this user has not sent $1,000 to everyone that likes and comments on this post here. But
Considering it's got 877,000 views at the time, I would assume that probably there's like a like ratio and comment pretty high up there. So definitely.
So good job at getting interactions, but again, highlighting some tendencies here. So originally we kind of looked at this tweet because we were like, what an idiot, he photoshopped it and had this guy the wrong team. But now we're looking at it like, okay, it's just a screenshot from over a month ago. Like,
yeah.
what do you think on this, Rob?
Well, Geoff will get into it first here, but I want to point out that how quickly like the wildfire spreads in these types of situations. Because Mr. Peanut Butter sent it to us in a Circle Back group chat. I also got it from two other friends as well. So to the masses, this does look like this person was getting dunked on by Parlay Bay, even though this is an actual screenshot.
So he's
we don't know for sure if it's an actual screenshot because
But
we
we're
don't
going
know
by
for
the
sure if
fact
those are the
it's-
correct amounts.
It's an older winning bet that he's using it for promotion.
Well,
On July
people
4th
thought it was photoshopped because Harrison Bader now plays for a different team.
Yes.
But on July 4th, both of them actually did hit 2 home runs on the same day. So it's at least plausible, if not likely, that it's.
So I'm going to go under the assumption that this is like a greatest hits of hits.
Yes.
And the people who are watching this show, if they're bothered by this, I obviously understand why. That makes sense. I'd love to like show you my Danny Willett 151 Masters ticket.
Right.
But my point being is they look at this the same way that someone like does driveways looks at it. I'm going to show you my best work. And that's what this is. They're not looking at it from your angle of how you bet or what you think is ethical. They are out there. This is how they make their living in the same way that a guy who does stonework makes his living.
Yep.
And how he's going to promote that is show his greatest work. This is what I can do for you in your front yard, your driveway, your backyard, whatever. So it's annoying, but you have to look at it from the perspective from which they see it as, and it is of the one I am explaining.
Yeah, out of people whose Twitter names are called Platinum Tips and that similar ilk, this is like a 2 out of 10. Honestly, my biggest problem is that he said giving everyone that likes and comments $1,000. That's the most ridiculous part to me. But yeah, like I think it's easy to just immediately assume like Photoshop. When I did look at this and I sent in the chat last night, I'm like, I never thought that this was likely Photoshop.
Well, to your point, right? When you end a tweet with that, still recovering from Vegas, giving everyone that likes and comments $1,000. The vast majority of people are going to see that, and they're going to make the assumption that this person is a grifter. Now, some people might not. Some people get got by not knowing any better. But most level-headed people are going to make the assumption that that's a grifter. Now, when that is accompanied by a screenshot like this, that naturally gives people the assumption that this is a fake ticket. He's photoshopped this in some capacity or whatever. Now, this likely seems like it was a real ticket that was made on July 4th. Harrison Bader was playing for the Twins at the time. And I think one of the challenges, I'm all for going after scum touts. I really am. I think more of it should happen, honestly, than it does right now. And a lot of it does happen right now. But when you go after someone like Parlay Bay does there, and you are wrong about it, it gives the tout extra ammunition. It's like you've created this false narrative. They paint themselves in like backs against the wall, like, look, they're making stuff up about me now, like this and that. And there is like, I don't want to say catastrophic consequences to that, but there are consequences to that where they can kind of show a level of realism, or, you know, they can use it to their advantage. So I appreciate the effort by Parlay Bay. Just gotta be confident when you're making these shots, because when they are proven otherwise, it can have the opposite type of effect.
Agreed.
All right, we'll move into the next topic up today in just a second here. But before we do, we are going to have a quick word from myself. What's up, everyone? Jacob Gramegna here from Circle Back. If you're watching and enjoying the show, if you've ever laughed, learned something, or watched me lose my mind over the Raptors offseason, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and send this video to someone who bets. Seriously, it takes just 5 seconds and it helps us grow a lot more than you think. We don't have a marketing team, just me, a few hosts, and a dream. So help us out, click the button, support the grind, and yes, the knee brace is holding up fine. Thanks for asking. Time to dig into the comments from the live show that we did at Bet Bash. I pulled 3 comments from that live show. The first one comes from the only TY Crane. Ty Crane, whatever it is. I don't need to see the interview and educational episodes every week or even every month, but every once in a while, it's nice to take a little deep dive into a person's niche of the sports betting industry. Rob, do you want to talk about this a little bit more?
Yeah, so there are some plans to evolve this channel even further going forwards as we get into football season. So there will be some interview style content and educational episodes. Definitely not every week, but yeah, I respect that there's people who found this channel via Circles Off, which was exclusively like interviews and educational episodes. Now we're something completely different. We're going to kind of find that balance point. So appreciate the comment, and kind of that's exactly what we'll be going for in the near future here.
And I have a bunch of content recorded with a lot of the pro bettors who are at Bet Bash, so look out for that content coming soon as well. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel in order to keep up to date with all of that content. The next comment comes from @QuietJim-FO8. Didn't golf invent red zone in the 1950s? If other sports want to copy, they would be better advised to use golf as a template, which has figured out how to include commercials without diluting the product. Has golf kind of figured out the red zone in a way? Why don't we go to you, Geoff?
I don't know what we're talking about.
Golf as a sport, I guess, is kind of like red zone, right? They're like going from player to player.
So on the live show, we
discussed I saw that.
Sports,
We've been saying that golf could do more of like what we call like a green zone more often. No, I think Scottie missed a couple of real short ones yesterday, but I think too much of like a golf telecast is watching guys hit 3-footers.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
I would agree.
So I don't think golf TV coverage, I guess if he's saying like just a standard golf event is like red zone.
I never thought of it that way, but it is.
Kind of.
Yeah. Yes.
But like it's not like
but the sport is more conducive to that type of coverage.
There is not really any other way to do it.
I would argue that golf coverage is more like they get stuck. I'm watching too much of featured players walking than like other great golf shots on property.
Right. Yeah, I never thought of it like that, to be honest with you. I think it is kind of a version of red zone. Yeah. But there's no other way you would cover the sport.
But if golf,
it's not like you just turn on a camera on every hole and you just put up all the footage. Like you have to have some way of weaving it out.
Never mind. New show. But I don't think they understand like how much rogue, like the footage doesn't have to be perfect for me to want to pay for like a camera that just sits above every green and have access to it. I don't even need commentary.
Yeah.
And they think everything has to have like professional graphics and intros. Like it doesn't. I don't think they understand like how rogue gamblers and sports fans would actually accept.
The feeds that I used to watch on Bet365.
Yeah.
Some of these were like people streaming from their cell phones in the crowd. And I would watch them when betting on an event. So I agree with you on that.
The last comment is from Buckle Up 8962 says $347 for dinner for 2. Shocked Vegas is dying. So this is in reference to the receipt from GRP and Jeff Benson's dinner. $347 for two. I mean, if they went to a nice like steak dinner spot,
Yeah.
that's probably what you'd expect to pay. But the conversation around Vegas is dying, I think, is relevant from being there as well. It is very expensive in Vegas to just get like simple meals, and even just grabbing like a couple beers is expensive. And you guys were kind of talking about before the show started. I'm not as experienced in Vegas. That was my second time there. But like, can you guys talk a little bit about how it's really evolved to be something completely different than what it used to be?
I will say my algo right now is flooded with this.
Yeah.
From
Same with
short
mine.
form to long form
Yeah.
of like Vegas is
Vegas is
fucked.
dead, yeah.
Vegas is dead. Life from the strip.
Yeah.
From like mainstream to like rogue independent people. It is all over my algo.
It's definitely, well, first of all, there's many reasons I can attribute to Vegas dying. I mean, generally though, tourism to the US is down, especially from Canada. I know for us, it's quite challenging with the conversion rate to the American dollar. And, you know, when you're paying $6 US for a coffee, it's like $9 Canadian. That contributes, but I don't, you know, I do feel like in a sense, you've kind of always been price gouged a bit in Vegas, but it's gotten a little too extreme now with everything.
But the perks are less, which hurts people.
Agreed.
And even like, I agree it's like a nice dinner place. And I haven't been to Peter Luger's to be fair, but like when I was in Vegas a few times ago, we went out for nice meals. They were way more expensive than they would be in Toronto and considerably worse.
Agree with you.
Like
I you know, Carbone is an example for me of the last time where everyone like is raving about Carbone and whatever. And I went there and I'm like, there's better Italian food in like the Kleinberg village where I live for it. And like, I don't understand. I'm like Jerry Seinfeld with I carry around the man purse with me, the European carry-all. I like fine things. I really do. I'm not scared to admit that. Like when I go on a trip, I like things to be good. I stay at expensive hotels, whatever. That's kind of like for me why I bet on sports. But it has gotten to a point now where it's like, no, this is getting stupid. It really is getting stupid. A lot of the experiences there are actually insane, to the point where like you're even pricing out people who would regularly spend money and have the disposable income to do so. So I remember my first trips in Vegas, probably with you, Geoff. I don't know if you remember those. We were in like Henderson, Nevada, not even
I wasn't
Vegas.
on those.
Yeah, Sunset Station, like remotes. I was buying beers for like $1, you know? It's very, very different now.
Everything like they tried to make everything too fancy, in my opinion. And they figured if we make it fancier, we can raise the price points. And I'm even talking about like not the nicest places on the strip. And it got to a point where like everything was way more expensive. Anyone with real money doesn't give a fuck about Vegas.
Yeah.
Never wants to go to Vegas. Okay. They don't.
Yeah.
Trust it. It's
There's much better
disgusting.
spots. Yep.
Even 15 years ago.
Yeah.
If you have real money.
Yeah.
And then like sometimes even if I could afford it, like I like it a little grungy. And they took that from me, like somewhere nice on the strip, like a Planet Hollywood that was like at a perfect level, good location, not dirty, not too dirty, but not nice. Mm-hmm. You know, me and my friends, when we get together, like sometimes we want to keep it dusty.
Yeah, I get that. I'll say the last thing I'll say on Vegas is that I do feel like it has gotten dirtier, so to speak. Like there's definitely, like if you go through Vegas, there's definitely a homeless problem right now. Like relative to when I used to first go there. Like you look at the strip and the amount of stuff I see on the strip regularly when I'm like, this is pretty graphic. So if you don't want to hear it, you don't have to hear it. But last time I was there with my wife, we were walking the strip and I saw a man fingering his own asshole on the strip. Like that's shit would never see anywhere. This is supposed to be like a high quality, nice experience. The Vegas Strip, that's what you think about. And you see shit there all the time that just doesn't really jive with the way that it's being marketed.
Yeah, now feels like I could like walk into a Walmart in West Palm Beach if I wanted like that experience.
Right.
It's just confusing to me that these casinos have their cash cow, the slot machines everywhere. They are raking in money on those things. All they have to do is get people in the venue with that, and then keep them in there with, I think, cheaper drinks and cheaper food. Like people will stay and spend money at the casino on the casino games. I'm just confused why they're pricing people out of wanting to do
Can
that.
they go back to getting us there with good deals, good comps?
It's going to die if
in
they
the
don't,
casino.
Geoff. There has to be a correction the other way. That's just the way the market works.
And I'm telling
someone's got to take a stance where they're like, "Fuck, we're gonna risk it for a loss."
We are of the age, give or take, of people who like idolized Vegas.
Yeah.
Like before gambling was everywhere, when I was like 14 years old, like I can't wait to go to Vegas.
I love Vegas.
From gambling to TV shows to movies, it was like idolized. I do not believe, maybe I'm wrong and I'm a boomer now, I don't believe there are like 16-year-olds who like can't wait to turn 21 to get to Vegas like it was when we were that age.
I'm with you.
I think they could be fucked.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, I'm only 5 years older than 21. I never really felt like growing up, like Vegas was something I kind of like had to go see. I did want to go, but it wasn't put up on that pedestal like you're explaining there. So I kind of agree with that as well. Vegas, very well known for betting. Missouri, not as well known for betting. And they've just launched 2 new sports books to be involved in casinos, to be involved in Missouri. DraftKings got one of the seats by no surprise, really, but perhaps a little bit of surprise that the other seat was given to Circa. We have a tweet here from Ryan Butler at ButlerBet saying, breaking, DraftKings and Circa have been approved to take bets in Missouri December 1st after earning the state's 2 untethered licenses. Circa received the license over FanDuel, the U.S. revenue leader. FanDuel is expected to partner with Missouri Casino or Pro Team for market access. And then Circa tweeted this in a graphic. Winning one of Missouri's first 2 untethered mobile betting licenses is a great honor. We came in as the long shot against the national giants, but our licensure approval today proves there's room for a different kind of operator. That comes from Derek Stevens, owner, CEO of Circa Sports. So, Rob, what does this mean for the state of betting and where we're at for Circa to be provided this opportunity rather than one of the major conglomerates in the space like FanDuel?
Yeah, it's a flippening, right? I mean, if there was a Kalshi market on this, it would have been very, very low percentage yes for Circa. Like I talked to some people internally at Circa and they thought it was like less than 1% chance that they were going to win this, right? They basically went in and said, yeah, we don't really have all the bells and whistles here, but we take a bet and we don't limit people. And it's really surprising to have that be your case and win in this day and age against what some people might say are, superior products in terms of bells and whistles. Now, candidly, I was very much rooting for Circa to get one of these along with FanDuel being one of our sponsors here at the Hammer, and also a sportsbook that I like and always have liked relative to DraftKings as well. So kind of disappointed for FanDuel to come out on the losing end to DraftKings there. But ultimately, I think this is very positive that you can have an operator who comes in and is not as widely known as like the big 2, but says, we're going to put the player first. And that resonates with the state. And they win one of the mobile betting licenses right out of the gate. So I'm happy for them, honestly. And it's pretty ballsy of Dierkes to go in there and that be like the platform that he was going to quote unquote run on. But I think we are seeing kind of like a flippening in the space now.
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with you that it's like really overarching. I certainly thought it was surprising. I thought, honestly, what came to my head was like, I imagine it's like a panel of like a few people who decide. Yeah. Maybe there was just a sharp better on the panel. Yeah. Like that was kind of my thought. Good for Circa. Always cheer for them. So yeah, this is cool, but and definitely surprising, but I'm not sure it like really means so much.
And the final full topic that we have here comes from Mike Vivian, who we feature a lot on this show because good account to follow. I think a lot of funny stuff comes out. And he took a screenshot here and posted it from Colin Wilson. And Mike Vivian captioned it, "What the fuck does this even mean?" So Colin Wilson, what's the background of Colin Wilson? I forget.
He posted a line for the championship game that like Brett McMurphy picked up.
But like, is it just somebody who gives out like betting insight?
I think he's on Action Network,
part of the college football team at Action.
Okay,
Network, yeah.
That's it. Action Network. So posted this one about Kansas State. He had it's minus 2.5, and he put 1.2 units on Kansas State here for a game on August 23rd. And he said, project Kansas State minus 6.5, which is why he bet it at 2.5. But number is being shaped a dip below 3. We'll come back on Iowa State 4 or better. Prefer Iowa State with Campbell covering the Wildcats 5 straight, but we'll wait for Kansas State's team. Now, I'm definitely not one of the experts on this panel, but if I make a game plus 6.5, I'm probably not going to be betting it at plus 4. What do you guys think?
I've had a hard time really interpreting what this means because first and foremost, you put out any sort of tweet on gambling Twitter where you project a line that's way off the actual line, but you don't bet it and actually want to bet the opposite side, you're going to get like the sharp contingent is going to be all over you. This has happened since the beginning of the time. So not surprised that Mike Vivian surfaced this. But is it possible that he's saying that he's projecting the line will move out that way and that's not his actual number? Like
okay.
No, I think he's betting minus 2.5, has the line at minus 6.5, but is going to take back the other way.
He makes this game 6.5.
Yeah, don't overthink it. It's actually all right there.
Yeah. He bet 2.5 because he makes it 6.5, which is just crazy that he makes it 6.5 and it's not even at a field goal yet.
Got it.
So he feels like he has a big edge because he makes it 6.5 and he gets to bet 2.5. But then he also says, I'm going to bet Iowa at 4 when it moves in that direction.
Why aren't you just like hyper smashing 2.5 if you think you have... Like,
why would you also bet...
Why are you coming back in?
Why would you also bet 4 when you make it 6.5?
Yeah, I don't get that. Yeah. I really don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I would understand if you make the fair like 3.5 and you want to try to middle the game or something like that. I completely get that. But when your number's that far out, what is the sense in middling if it's opposite to what you think the fair actually is?
And also like projecting that it's going to go out to 4 and then you're going to come back. Like there's a lot of ways you can be wrong about sports betting. And this is one of those ways.
He's laying 20 cents on the first leg of the bet that he's going to try to middle. I don't even
I got to see what this is at now. Because let's see if this is moving. I mean, in theory, if he makes it 6.5,
I'm hoping for Colin it gets to 6.5.
Well,
but then you'd have a really bad number.
It's got to be moving at least a little bit. It's currently 3, minus 3.
Well, minus 2.5, minus 120. How far off is that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Minus 3.
Depends on the total of the game, technically, too.
Minus 105 to like minus 110
Yeah.
area. Minus 110-ish.
I will say this is an example of personal biases getting in the way when talking about a topic, because I did play blackjack with Colin Wilson in Vegas probably 8 or 9 years ago, and we had a great time, and I do really like the guy.
I've always liked his Twitter, to be honest.
But
not that I have to admit that, like it's a bad thing to admit.
I'm trying to like rationalize how it could be right, but I'm not getting there.
It's just like a tough comeback from his national championship situation to end the year, but. Long football season ahead, a lot of chance to battle back.
There's going to be a lot of tweets like this during football season for us to talk about too. I'm very much looking forward. But this is like a classic. Also, I'm interested. I'm going to ask Mike Vivian on the side. Like did he find this himself or was it sent to him? Is he like?
Does he follow?
Yeah. Is this
it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Because I obviously have like. I keep up with everything Simon Hunter does because I dislike him so much that I want to be there to jump on him whenever he says something stupid. So I wonder if Colin is like.
I would imagine that this is a similar deal.
Before we get into our final segment, let's hear a word about our newsletter here at The Hammer. What's up, guys? Jacob here. If you like the content we're putting out and want to get even sharper as a bettor, you need to subscribe to Kirk's Hammer, our free newsletter. Kirk Evans is one of the smartest people I've worked with. He breaks down the market strategy, modeling concepts, and betting theory in a way that's actually digestible. And with football season around the corner, the newsletter's only getting better. More insights, more value, fewer Zilbert-style show me the records debates. Hit the link in the description and get signed up. It's free and it's worth your time. Final segment, of course, is the chopping block stuff that we wanted to talk about, but we didn't think required full-scale segments on the show. The first one comes from Andrew Gombas, is that it? At Bets and Picks MMA. What I learned from Bet Bash is that out of 700 attendees, at least 650 of them apparently win betting MMA. Truly fascinating. Did you get this same vibe, Rob?
I did, but I get it at every sports betting conference that I go to. It's not Bet Bash specific, and it's not MMA specific. It's funny how that works. Like sportsbooks are able to keep the lights on, but 95% of people are winning bettors. Yeah, I don't know. I found this pretty funny. I mean, I would say at Bet Bash though, like at least the vast majority of the people that are there are sharp. Like they're looking to make connections with other people. Like you're not going to get a rec that's typically spending, you know, 700 USD plus a flight to Vegas and a hotel. So maybe it doesn't hit his home just as much, but yeah, definitely like everyone I talk, there's not a single person I talked to this week that came up to me. It's like, oh, I'm losing. Like, how can I get over the hump and help me win? That just doesn't happen.
I've received some additional context from Jason, who is listening in the other room. He said this person actually had an MMA seminar at Bet Bash.
Yeah.
That was apparently not very well received, which could have triggered.
Well, Andrew Gombas is a well-known, like solid bettor.
Yeah,
he is like the real
sure.
deal. So I would not put anything like slander on his name. But yeah, I don't know. I wasn't at that panel, and I would imagine that the people who are in there, even if they're in there to learn something, they're probably all in there like thinking that they're winning bettors as well.
They're probably all in there thinking they know more than the guy.
Exactly.
I've never met a mover who can't get down quiet. I've never met an originator who's not over 5% ROI.
Yeah, it's true.
And then you have a big pay-per-view. Oh no, everyone was already home from then.
Yeah, everyone was home. Well, not some people were caught in transit, like plus EV analytics.
Poor guy. Speaking of,
I got problems. We got problems. I'm supposed to get on a plane Thursday.
Well,
I'm gonna end up in fucking a connector in like Atlanta. Fuck me.
Speaking of that pay-per-view event and the UFC, we had a big event over the course of the weekend. Hamzat Chimaev and Dierkes Duplessis. I hope I said those names correctly. Anyways, there was a fight. The main event, the championship bout, was a bit of a dud. And it was just because Chimaev was just so incredibly dominant as a wrestler in the fight. And Ian McMillan at Ian McBets, who's featured on some of our Forward Progress watch-alongs for the NFL, and I think we'll be back this season for some content, says, I hate what the UFC has become. Their strategy of making the UFC brand always stronger than a fighter's brand, mixed with the roster being dominated by boring Dagestani wrestlers, equals a product that isn't nearly as attractive to the wider audience as it once was. Now, I was watching that fight with a lot of people. A bunch of them thought it was a very boring fight and didn't enjoy it, especially, staying up late to watch it. But from my perspective, it was just so dominant that it was just entertaining watching a guy like completely having mastered the craft and the ground game and the wrestling. I'm not even a big UFC fan. I do a little bit of martial arts training myself. I'm by no means an expert, but I just found it like he dominated like 95% of that fight. It was just incredible that there was no answer on the other side. What do you guys think?
I think personal bias is getting in the way of the reality. So I completely agree with Ian. I don't watch the UFC anymore. I used to watch a ton of UFC. I found the fights a lot more interesting when the fighters weren't as well-rounded. Like when I was growing up, everyone kind of like specialized in one type of form. Now everybody kind of knows everything. I personally think that there are more boring fights nowadays than there used to be back in the day. But with that said, like the UFC is worth more than it ever has been. The audience is by far the largest that it ever has been. Revenue's as big as it ever has been. So like, I don't agree that this isn't as attractive to the wider audience. I think it is maybe like shunned out existing fans from earlier, but not necessarily like.
Am I missing something? Is there an NFL player whose brand is bigger than the Shield? No, I'm just curious.
Definitely not.
No, I guess
Like,
when
what
you think
are we
about it with other
talking
sports,
about?
yeah.
I mean, yes, and maybe in baseball you could say Ohtani's bigger than baseball, and I think once LeBron and Steph are gone,
Yeah.
I think in basketball there's no one bigger than the crest. I think the other parts of the complaint aren't without merit, but I like the fact that the brand of the league, this thing started like in our lifetime.
But
that's so impressive.
But isn't this also like really popular just in sports with fans who are like diehards for a long time, and then the sport fundamentally changes, right? It's like I listen to like my dad and his friends talk about football, and it's like, oh, all this passing, like they don't run the ball anymore. Like it used to be like this smash mouth football back in the day. It's like anytime there's an evolution from what you're used to when you were the biggest fan, I don't want to say anytime, but doesn't that play into it?
I don't disagree with that, but I think the UFC is a bit different because I actually do think it's like, it is a pretty, like people from before will be like, oh, the NBA was way better than in the 90s. But
Yeah.
you watch the clips and you're like, this obviously wasn't way better. These players were so much worse.
Yeah.
But the UFC...
No, man, we wanted Charles Oakley popping from 16 feet to be able to hit like a jumper.
Yeah. I mean, God forbid, like you didn't take someone out coming down the lane and try to end their career. It's like, do we really, like, is that what's made basketball popular? But
obviously the UFC fighters are way better now, but like being better is kind of a lot of that wrestling dominating on the ground Khabib style, I think. But yeah, I think a small problem with the UFC, I would agree with you guys, it's still growing, it's still massive. It's just like a lot of the fans aren't like actually fans of the sport. Like basketball fans, football fans, hockey fans, typically they played the sport growing up, they did that. Versus UFC fans, it's much more like, I want to see people do crazy things and get punched in the face and get knocked out. And like, if that's not kind of the best strategy, people complain about the fights and they're like, oh, these fights are boring. Versus it's kind of like, that's the best way to win. So what are you supposed to do?
I mean, the sport exists on Saturday night at midnight when you're supposed to just be wasted with your buddies watching the fights.
Yeah.
A golf hardo is like signing up for ESPN Plus to watch Thursday coverage of something, and then is also there when the casuals are tuning in Sunday at dinner. But you try, like, yes, in tennis, guys are bigger than the sport. Yes, in golf, guys have gotten... even today, like post Tiger, you could argue certain guys, maybe Bryson or someone, but Scotty's boring. But I don't know. I feel like there's two conversations in Ian's tweet. I agree with one of them. I didn't really agree with
I'm in the exact same boat.
Next comment comes from @Bustin Trudeau. Says, would love a circle back segment or even a full circles off episode about trying to build an odds board product with access to dozens of APIs, the ability to pull as close to real-time odds from these sources, and balancing the cost of that versus price to get most users / revenue. So this comes from originally a tweet from Joseph, Buckdahl, at 12 expert, says Pinnacle have confirmed that unfortunately due to commercial reasons, our real-time API is no longer publicly available. We're making a delayed version of the API available to certain commercial partners. Now, unfortunately, won't be a full segment nor a full Circles Off episode, but it will feature in the chopping block. So let's get your thoughts on this, Rob, having experience in this.
Yeah, no, I would just say that it's pretty challenging to do this because candidly, there are many ways to get access to APIs and things that I'm just not comfortable talking about publicly, or they would reveal like a competitive edge versus other odds screens. Like there is a lot of competition in the odd screen space nowadays, way more than when it was just basically exclusively Don Best. And everybody has their own ways of sourcing different feeds. So I understand that this would be interesting. And certainly if I wasn't involved in the space, I'd be very interested in hearing about this. But it is incredibly challenging for me to divulge a lot of that information. So I could potentially think of a way to get as much valuable information across as I could. Maybe would consider that for like a smaller educational piece in the future. But yeah, there's just a lot at play here where it's incredibly complex, and a lot of what goes on behind the scenes I wouldn't be super comfortable talking about.
All right, makes sense. We'll go to this one from Phil Mickelson, who said, here's a hot take. Does Scottie win in 2025 before the Ryder Cup? I don't think so. This is from, I should have put the date in the screenshot. I believe it's from mid-March of 2025. Geoff, how do we feel about this one? This is an all-timer, isn't it?
Yeah, I just sent that to you to just make sure it was in the file for like best of the year. There's just, I mean, this tweet is art.
hang it in the Louvre type of thing.
Yeah. This is like no joke. When we're doing this thing of Christmas and there's like a 3-minute short of me and my tweets of the year, it's probably this and T-Bone with his Rolex after flipping the car.
That is in the Hall of Fame.
Like to me, that is
listed
like
in the Hall of Fame
is like
now.
the
What
pantheon.
about T-Bone's most recent tweet of warning people that there was police checking for like pulling people
Yeah.
over? It's like Ride. Remember when we had Ride in Ontario? Where they pull you over, smell your breath. You sending out a warning to everyone in,
Like
in Denver.
driving
on like a
into the
windy mountain
mountains.
road. Jesus Christ. This tweet is like the upper crust of this game.
How many wins does he have this year so far?
I don't know how many Scottie has off the top of my
Say
head.
he started late because he had the hand injury.
Yeah.
He wasn't winning early. We had 6.
Jeez.
It's like 2 majors, maybe 3 or 4 elevateds, and a regular. So yeah, we're at 6.
It's literally plus 200 to win the next tournament. Like,
I mean, at least the next one. The next one's only got 30 guys.
Yeah. I hate to say this, but I actually still really like Phil Mickelson.
Yeah, you wish he was still around.
Yeah, I do.
The tour misses. The PGA Tour misses him, and I say this in like a complimentary term, not the derogatory way this term would be said.
Yeah.
He's like a mask. Like he would be such a good mascot for golf for the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
Like just around playing, being Phil.
Got good energy.
Yeah,
like,
I don't mean like putting on a costume, singing and dancing, but
Yeah.
just the mere presence of him
Yeah.
would in some ways do what like a mascot does at the ball game.
Yeah.
The next one comes from at Round Robin 42. Isaac, who's appeared on this show on a few occasions, said genuinely think if you're betting for fun, you should reserve around 10% of what you would bet on your team/player for if they go down, so you could double down at a better price without chasing beyond your means. Now, that's kind of the crux of this conversation, and it's interested in your thoughts, but I did enjoy the replies here. Flup responded, is this responsible gambling? And Isaac said, sorry, meant to say reserve another 10% for when the opponent retires.
Oh.
So good little clap back there. But what do you guys think on this one? Saving 10% of what you were going to bet just to double down and get a better price. This is more
Is he
recreational.
Is he advertising like a fractional martingale type of situation?
I think he's just saying save a little, and if your team gives up the first touchdown, like don't be afraid to get in again at the bigger number.
Yeah,
'cause
but
they didn't-
instead of betting 100,
Yeah.
bet 90, and then if your team goes down, maybe bet 5, and then if your team goes down more, bet 5. It's just like no one like it's kind of so antithetical to betting of like people are kind of degenerates and like betting and like putting their money to the idea that a casual bettor is gonna be like, I'm gonna save 10% of my bet so I can bet it mid game.
but also-
No, but the rec thinks they're so much smarter than they are that they don't think that their bet is going to be down 14-0.
Yes,
But
that as well.
that's
Totally.
also part
Here's
of
the
it.
problem.
I'm
Here's the
not
problem.
saving for a scenario
Yes.
that could never happen.
Love this idea in principle. By the way, I played poker next to Isaac this week. Had an absolute blast. Love hanging out with him. He also took us to the Sphere to see
was
postcards
good.
from Earth. It was fucking. I don't know if you've been to the Sphere before.
I've heard
It's not-
only incredible.
Yeah, first 10 minutes, I was like, what have I got myself into? This looks like an IMAX screen. And then shit hit. And it got very real.
I remember the
very
first
real.
10 minutes, we were like, what the fuck
I'm like,
did
what
Isaac
is
bring us
this?
to?
Okay, so reserve 10% of what you bet on your player team. If they go down, you can double down at a better price. I've seen my friends go through this exact same experience before. The problem is when your team the team that you bet on starts getting their asses handed to them in the early going, it's actually incredibly difficult for you to pull the trigger on adding more to them. So in theory, sure, if you can get that out of your head, I can see, I wouldn't do it. I'm just going to place 100% of my bet on it pregame. But try pulling the trigger like when your team looks like an absolute fucking disaster in the first half of the first quarter of an NFL game. It's just not happening.
I will say in golf, I like to really detach on Thursdays because I don't need to sweat over 5-footers. But I actually don't think, like, if Scottie's going out in the morning wave and I got a guy in the afternoon wave that I'm going to bet on, maybe say, like, if those guys score what they're going to score, everyone's odds who haven't hit a ball yet will just go up.
Right. That's true.
So there are like some little things that like maybe, but again, no rec is disciplined enough to do this efficiently. They'd overbet, underbet. They'd just probably create a situation, but Isaac's the best.
You might be moving from sophisticated square into like mild sharp territory.
No.
With some of the commentary.
You could see some of my pendings.
I'm also not the type to just rebet. Like if my bet's going poorly, I think the last thing I want to do is
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
lose more
So
money.
hard.
And then if I bet on a team and they're winning, I'd feel like shit. Why did I not just bet 100%?
Yeah.
what I
It
wanted to
depends on the
bet?
personality. Like we all have that one friend that no matter what is not giving up on his pregame read.
Well, I
right?
mean,
no
from-
matter
from-
what, it's just wait and see. Just wait. Like they're coming back. That I have a friend like that. But then there's like others that immediately are reacting to like the first two hits in the game are singles for the other team in a baseball game, and they're freaking out. They're like,
Yeah.
I'm on the wrong side. Yeah, whatever. So
Yeah.
it's really challenging.
Well, and also just from talking to Isaac, hanging out with him and seeing his Twitter, like Isaac is a guy who will rebet like a lot. Like if his guy goes down a set, like a tennis better, he'll rebet. They're down 2 sets, he'll rebet, and he often rebets. So maybe it comes from that sort of thought process as well. But I would also struggle to see a recreational bettor doing this.
Yeah.
Then we have, I think this is the last one that we have on the show today. This comes from @DK_DFS. Very much known right now on Twitter for clowning on these what people would consider scam touts, potentially people who are misleading their audience in what they're selling in terms of the sports betting space. He said Vic, who is a widely known pick seller, Vic posted an extremely minus EV parlay yesterday. He missed 2 legs, but he's victory lapping watered down versions that he didn't play. So a watered down version of a parlay, if anybody doesn't know, is when, let's say you have like a 7-leg parlay and 5 legs hit, you can just advertise, well, if you had played these 5 legs of the 7 that I gave you, you would have had a winning bet. So obviously complete lunacy to even do that. And then this from @GeorgeOnTap, who says, man, I've commented on your post so many times. Start giving out value because you're good at betting and stop counting other people's money. It's gross, to be honest. You're actually so good at this. Why worry about everyone else? It's like you were an NBA player and getting buckets, going on social media all day, bitching about some other guys, some other players' field goal percentage, and that's why he averages more points per game than you. Just work, bro. And the response from DK is, it's because I hate grifters, scammers. I am one of the few people that will call these guys out on their BS. And I kind of... just from doing this show, I kind of resonated with what he's saying here. Like,
Yeah.
kind of what we do on the show. I wouldn't say there's a lot of necessarily like betting educational stuff that's provided. I think it's educational in the way we say this is bad, don't do this, don't follow this. But I kind of resonate with it with a little bit. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think I hate that guy's response of like, what, like
Such
you're just
a
a
horrible
hater,
comparison.
like you're just looking at other people's pockets. Like I see that a lot on Twitter. Like I think it's so stupid. I wish there were more people who just were willing to consistently call out people who are grifting and scamming. Like I get what DK's saying. I hate grifters and scammers. I also think he probably has some personal incentive. He probably gets clicks on this stuff. He probably grows his Twitter brand by doing it. It probably like feels good and is funny to tweet that. So I don't think he only does it for that reason. But like people are like, oh, like you're just a hater. Like I think those tweets are so dumb.
So I would say that years ago, my Twitter account was probably very similar to this Twitter account. I would be the one that would go after people. And for the most part, my audience definitely ate it up. And that made me feel good about myself and made me want to keep doing it. And I would get some comments every now and then of like, oh, this is so cringe. Just like focus on yourself. And I would just be like, well, that's not who I am. It's not. I think more people should call out scammers or grifters in the space. If you go back one slide here, Jacob, to like this guy's comparison of like, it's like if you were an NBA player and getting buckets, going on social media all day, bitching about some other player's field goal percentage. It's not like that at all. Like
Not even close.
Some other player missing buckets in the NBA is not affecting other people's livelihood. Like they're not taking advantage of innocent, unsuspecting people. It's not even a similar comparison. It's apples to oranges. With that said, the reason I've kind of dialed it back a little bit is, twofold. But for one, I've often wondered about giving these people more visibility and whether that's actually a good thing or a bad thing. Because you run you're on a very slippery slope when you now start having, look at his 53K impressions on this tweet, right? maybe 52,000 of these people view it and be like, this guy's a clown. But maybe 1,000 remember that guy's name or go check him out or do their own due diligence or something and form a different conclusion. So that's where I think it's challenging. I do respect the people who have the wherewithal, are smart enough, like this DFS guy, to go after the con artists in the space. But I do think that could potentially be doing damage. And also you have to be willing to like fight the battles, because some of these guys come back at you and their following comes back at you, and now you are just wasting time arguing with people on the internet. So there's that point of it as well. But I honestly really enjoy this account, DK_DFS. If Mr. Peanut Butter was in my God tier, I'd put this guy in the A tier. I really like that he keeps up with this stuff and he's willing to call out a lot of the bullshit in the space, because frankly, everybody wants to play fucking Kumbaya with one another, or sing Kumbaya. And sometimes, just being real resonates with people, and this resonates a lot with me.
I think that's the perfect way to end it off. We're going to keep it real with you right here on the Circles Off channel with content like Circle Back and plenty of other content on the way. Some great stuff was recorded at Bet Bash and some other great content is in the pipeline. You need to make sure that you are subscribed to this channel. We're getting on the road to 20,000 subscribers. You can help us get there. Make sure you drop a like if you enjoyed as well. Rate, review 5 stars if you're listening in audio form. And before you go, comment something down below. Let us know what you liked. Let us know what you didn't like. And just give your thoughts. We always go through every comment. We very much value your feedback. We'll see you again next time.